What's up, fellow podcaster? In today's podcast interview breakdown, I'll be reacting to an exclusive interview with Ronnie Radke presented by KNOTFEST.com. Here we go.
Once upon a time, you were doing every magazine interview back when there were a lot of magazines. You were on all the covers and showing up all over the press and all over social media. You've been much more reserved of late, talking less and doing more, one might say. What's that all about?
I see some of my favorite musicians getting mad on Twitter, and it's so embarrassing. And I've done it. I cringe. I cannot believe I said some of the stuff, and then I go and look at, I won't name some of these people, but they're older than me and they're like kind of rock star legends, and they are continuing to do that. And it just literally destroys this image. And I don't want it to destroy that image that I have, So in my head, I'm like, no, man, this guy, he's like, you're complaining about, I don't know. There's a long list,
I mean, of course, these platforms are designed to be addictive. And for those of us who might struggle with impulse control, it's such a perfect drug to be able to just get on there and react to everything that's happening.
It's definitely addicting. It is. And that's why I don't have it on my phone. I feel like your quality of life goes down and you don't even realize it's going down, mentally, because you're constantly looking at Instagram, constantly.
What's the frog in boiling?
So right off the bat, I don't know who this guy is, who is interviewing him, but I have watched part of this interview before. He's really good. And this is how they got this exclusive interview. I have no clue, but this is awesome. And it is from 2021. So they just kind of hopped right into it, depending on what the piece was actually about. It wasn't his origin story or kind of where he started from Escape the Fate until now. It's about a year old. But it's interesting what he has to say about social media and Twitter and things like that, because now he's on TikTok. And if you haven't followed him on TikTok, he's a pretty funny guy. He's very outspoken, catches a lot of crap, but is super nice in real life. I have that story for when I actually met him when I was doing this sort of work in Los Angeles.
Water, right?
Yeah, you're constantly looking at Facebook, you're just constantly looking at people upset at each other all the time. That's what I've noticed.
I think taking it off your phone sounds like a nice happy medium, as opposed to becoming one of those people that's like, I'm not even on there. I don't even have it. Because that becomes a thing in and of itself too, right?
And why I've noticed this from a lot of interviews, these people that come at him, I guess at some point, maybe, I don't know, why do you even allow these people to bash you or come at you? No matter what, I mean, you could save a burning bus full of nuns and somebody would still be like, yeah, but did you know he's been to jail? Why do you give these people that time of day? Do you know how many other rock stars, celebrities, anybody else has been to jail? You have to just Google what happened or read his book, which I'll link down in the description below, to figure out what exactly happened. You can't brand this guy There's
no tone. You can't type tone. So if you make a joke, where's the tone? If a certain person's having a bad day, they're going to read it in the tone, of how they feel instead of how I feel.
And it becomes like a historical record. And the context of the times changes.
Yeah. It's I tweet, just went to the bathroom. That's how I feel. And someone reads it just went to the bathroom, because they don't, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I don't know. And also, why would you tweet, just went to the bathroom? And I've done that. I've done that multiple fucking times. And it's, and people posting pictures of their food. And
if you see my timeline from 2007, I'm tweeting my coffee order.
Do you cringe?
Yeah, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's so cringy, bro. It's so
Yeah.
cringy. But if you look back on stuff, that's why everything is deleted. I do not want to cringe at myself anymore. I already got Good Girls, Bad Guys and Bad Girls Club and stuff like that.
Oh, as a fan of those two songs, I know it's an older interview, but I don't know why he That'd be a good question. Why do you cringe at those two specific songs? And it's just interesting to hear the evolution of social media, because they're talking, I mean, when Twitter and social media first came out, that was like the thing, is posting your coffee order. Ooh, I'm at McDonald's, or ooh, chicken Caesar salad. And now how do you feel about the evolution of social media, the good, the bad? And would you ever do kind of like, almost like, I think it'd be a cool video idea for him to do, of just like roasting himself in like some of his old tweets or his old videos
to look at forever. So
Are you cringing at that stuff now?
yes.
They're like TikTok sensations now. It's giving it a whole new life.
Do you see like the format? You see what's happening though?
Yeah. It's interesting to see how it persists, right? And what new ways people are discovering music. I mean, we're talking like classic rock bands and stuff like that. Listen to me advocating for TikTok, an app that I don't have and don't understand.
Yeah.
But, I can appreciate that it's bringing things.
Hey, man, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining because it just literally makes my streams go up like exponentially, you know. But you're allowed to cringe at stuff, you know. Like when my hair was this big, I looked like a cross between like Macho Man Randy Savage and Van Halen, you know what I mean? Like Motley Crue. But I'm sure Motley Crue and Warrant and all those bands look back on photos and videos of them and kind of cringe a little bit.
I mean, it's like yearbook photos.
It was a moment in time, and it was a great memory too as well.
Yeah, I mean, and seeing throngs of the Warped Tour audience physically sitting down during Bad Girls Club.
This is the heaviest song you have ever heard.
No, but I mean the part, right? Wasn't that the song where you'd have everyone sit down then everyone get up, and occasionally there's always the one person who's like way in the back.
Hey, don't get me wrong, I still perform those songs.
And he does this. We saw him in San Diego, and I had actually just hurt my knee when he did this. And I like going to stand up, like everybody was crouched down and I couldn't. I was like, I'm hurt, man. I don't even know if he acknowledged it, but I know exactly what he's talking about.
I'll still perform them because those songs bang live. They just bang forever, you know, like, but I remember, here's a good example, Alone, the song called Alone. And it was when trap and rap, or trap and metal, it kind of didn't exist. I don't know, like trap metal, not rap rock, right?
Right.
What I was doing felt like it didn't really exist in a sense of like, I don't know how you'd say that.
Dubs.
Do you feel like you were the pioneer of some of these subgenres? Because like you said, they didn't exist. And if you know anything about Falling in Reverse and Ronnie Radke, like his range is crazy. Those two songs, Bad Girls Club and Good Guy. Now my mind's blank what that video is called. But anyway, they're so poppy, and then there's some that are like now he's got Zombified and Popular Monster, and there's just different, like his range changes throughout each album, which is something a lot of bands don't do. Like a lot of bands, they sound the same throughout the same one. Like not that the first band that, I don't know, like Blink-182 and Newfound Glory kind of did that, but it's weird because I don't hate on it because I love those bands. But for Falling in Reverse, it's like, that is one thing I can just super appreciate about him as a musician and as an artist. He's just like not afraid to try new stuff, and just like the range of stuff, his range musically is insane.
Step stuff coming in and like trap stuff, like you said, and
it was unique,
a different style.
Yeah. But the lyrics, I remember my label calling me, and Brett, and he goes, "Hey man, you try to be nice. It's like, you should change the lyrics in the verses to not so like be so knuckleheady." And I was like, "What's that supposed to mean?" And then if you go read the lyrics, they're just, oh my God, dude, they're just so, they're corny for sure.
How does it feel when you trust yourself as an artist, and then you have labels calling you, be like, can you change that? It's just like I know you're kind of like under the umbrella, so it's like, how do you do that creatively? Is that like another sub thing of being a creative, as far as like having to change something for the label. Like the song in your mind could be perfect, but then they're like, change this, and that. And it's like, do you have to get creative to fix this, and that? And the way things are now, as big as you guys are, can you leave your label and possibly become an independent, or would you do that? I know like a lot of these new deals, like 360 deals for new artists, obviously they're not a new artist, but it's like, would it be worth it to you to fully go independent? You create whatever you want.
Hip hop. I mean, hip hop's a form that is built on bragging.
I fuck with Drake, and he like, you know, he like brags a lot about stuff, but I just feel like it's just looking back, it's like,
yeah,
maybe I should have said something a little different.
It's funny when we're talking about this and being reflective that, you know, and we'll get into all of this, but on the back of the success of Popular Monster, you know, you did The Drug in Me Is You, sort of a thank you to the fans, the reimagined version for the album going gold, which is insane in this climate for anyone to have a gold record.
Yeah.
And then for that record, the first Falling in Reverse record to go gold, like basically what felt like 5 minutes before your current song then goes gold.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like there's always this reaction from the universe, or however you want to describe it, where people go, oh, well, he has a gold record, but that's like an old record. And then you have a new gold record like right afterwards.
Yeah, my friend Davey back in the day, like 5 years ago, he said,
real quick, is it like still a big deal nowadays for music artists to go gold or to go platinum, considering nobody buys CDs that much anymore? Is it like, I guess amongst the music community, is it like all about streams now? Or do musicians like hate streams like they hated Napster back in the day? Because from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, like you get nothing. Writers, songwriters, unless you're like Taylor Swift or something, you're not getting much money from the streaming. So it would be really interesting to go down that rabbit hole.
Man, he goes, you're the luckiest person, but with the worst luck. That's what he said. You know, and I always thought about that. I'm like, he's right. He's like, you're the luckiest person, but with the worst luck. That's what he said. You know, and I always thought about that. I'm like, he's right. He's like, I got some bad luck, but I got really good luck at the same time.
Yeah,
you know?
good fortune and bad luck combined or something.
I guess. Yeah,
some sort of mix.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wrote about how I felt. I watched the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, and the song was already in the works. The lyrics weren't, and that movie made me feel some type of way, you know. And I just wrote the lyrics down. That's how I felt when I went into the studio. That people like wonder how my voice is so low. That's how I actually literally felt. You know, I've been to the emergency room many times thinking I was dying, and it was they're always like, panic attack, you know.
Yeah.
But this was years ago, and it's better now. But I just remember being in the midst of that and be like, nah, you cannot tell me that what I'm feeling is a panic attack. That I'm dying, you know.
To have the success.
And this is, I asked this, if this is your first time watching one of my podcast interview breakdowns, I'm obsessed with the process, the creative process coming into a song like Popular Monster. It's like you walked into the studio and it's like, what's your songwriting process? Do you have kind of what you want down? And it's like, do you have, like, I know I've watched interviews where you say you're not musically trained or something like that, or you're self-taught basically. It's like, so how do you write songs? And it's like, do you write it and it's like gold, like this is good? Or do you write it and then you go into the studio and then it's like, well, I didn't like how I said this, fix that, let's shoot it again. Same thing with the music part. Like, how did you know? I feel like with Popular Monster, it was just like almost not dubstep or I don't know what to call it, but just like the build up before that one specific part. If you've listened to the song and all of a sudden just all hell breaks loose. So I think it's like a minute and a half in, but it's like, did you know it was going to sound like that? And how long does that take for you to come up with that sort of thing? And if you, I know, I think it was Whitesnake who wrote Cherry Pie. The guy said he wrote it in 30 minutes on the back of a pizza box. Would you challenge yourself to do something like that? Because I know I've heard in another interview you are quick to write stuff. So it'd be interesting to challenge yourself and just put something out that only took you, like, you get a half an hour, like an hour most, to write it, get the melody like in your head, and boom, and just put it out and just see what happens. And if you do it, I want the exclusive interview when you do it, possibly even, it's always been a dream of mine to like sit in the studio when creatives like yourself go through this process, and just like, not a shout out, but just like some street cred, maybe.
With Popular Monster, and to do that sort of reward and gratitude to the fans with the reimagined version, doing the reimagined, did that kind of lead to the I'm Not a Vampire revamp?
There was no real planning. It was just like kind of like an aha moment kind of thing. And I was like, how can I do this again and make it more modern and make it more like epic, you know? That it's definitely that for sure. I could say that with fucking confidence for sure. But Popular Monster, here's the weird thing about Popular Monster. Obviously it's about depression and anxiety and post-traumatic stress and rage and like all these things, you know. The weird thing is in that mind frame going into the studio, and my voice is low because I did not feel good. I just didn't feel good, and I just was trying to get the words out. And I was like, I just need to get the words out. And then my engineer's like, hold on, this sounds crazy, you know. And that's how it started. But the weird thing is how I felt then was really how I felt. And then Popular Monster exploded and ironically made me feel good.
Right.
And it completely took me out of that. It's music is amazing.
Did you know when you were tracking everything and after it's done and been mastered and whatever by the engineer, did you know it was going to be as big as it was? Like that drop in the middle of the song that I'm talking about, like, did you know that was just going to be just it's like, I mean, just a sock to the eardrums, man. It was awesome. Yeah, like, I'm trying to unpack everything with like the Popular Monster thing. I know I had a ton of questions when it came to like how many takes did it take? Like, that's another thing with the process. Like that certain part in Popular Monster where you're just screaming, like how many takes did that take? Or it's like, are you at such a level now where you're just like, boom, 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 like, let's record this part, this part, this part, and this part, throw it together, boom, we're done. Is that how it is now? Or like, as far as screaming goes, like if you don't get it just right, like, how does that fit? Like, does that hurt your vocal cords or what? But man, because I've even seen some of the reactions that he does to people listening to Popular Monster. It's like, you know, that one part is coming, and it's like, do you get high on your own supply as well? Like, Popular Monster is on my workout playlist. If I'm trying to like hit a PR or something, I definitely put that on there. But do you get high on your own supply when it comes to music?
You know,
that's art at its best.
Yeah.
Right. Or even, like you said, you know, sitting down watching the Joker in the theater and relating that to your own experience. You're not watching that going like, I'm this character, we're exactly the same.
Yeah.
You're connecting it to yourself and
because,
processing something through that art.
You know, I felt like, I was like, yeah, a lot of people probably feel like this, but whatever, you know. And then I was like, whoa, everybody feels like that. Why does everybody feel like this? Because that's what it feels like. It feels like everybody has listened to that song. By the way, shout out to all the YouTube reactors. Yes. It's positive. Everything they do is like super positive. And it's not like, you don't see YouTube reactors being like, this shit's fucking terrible. You don't see that. It's all, if they don't have anything nice to say, they don't say it. And it's just it's a whole like portal of like positivity.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting thing. I remember just watching these type of interviews and then YouTube suggesting that, like, the title of it is like Ronnie Radke reacts to people reacting to Popular Monster. And I'm just like, and then I start going down the rabbit hole. I'm like, damn, this is awesome. Like the fact that he goes and gets, I don't know if he's looking for feedback or what, but by the way, you are on my interview list. So I will definitely put my info down below. Got a ton of questions for you, but yeah, the fact that he is one of the only people that I know at his level that watches people reacting to his own stuff. So I'd be curious, like, why? Just a simple question of why do you watch those things? Like, what do you get out of it, and what does it do for you? Do you get more out of the reaction, or just like making people's day?
It like combats all the negativity. You know what I mean?
That's probably why I like it so much.
When you watch somebody naturally reacting to a song and you see their body kind of moving, and they're like, it like makes you enjoy it more.
My friend Greg turned me on to No Life Shack.
He's
and
great.
It was just, it literally, he sent it to me because he was just like, this kid is so fun. And he was doing metal videos at the time, and he sent me a couple metal videos that he had done, and then I subscribed to his channel, started watching it. And so then when you hit his channel, you know, it's just like,
oh, let's go. Yeah.
worlds colliding, you know.
No Life Shack. What's up, No Life Shack? Shout out Two Lit Mafia, all the other YouTube reactors, man.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
You put it in, that's great context for it, man, because I hadn't thought about it that way. I didn't quite realize why I go down those rabbit holes, and that's exactly
because it's positive.
Yeah.
It's positive. It's not like nobody wants to watch like a bunch of people being like, this is fucking garbage. You know, like it gets to a point to where, you know, like you gotta stop, man. We need some positivity, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And this is why I do that. I don't know if Ronnie would consider me a YouTube reactor, because I don't know. I have had this idea of doing these podcast interview breakdowns for so long, because I do them for a couple reasons. Obviously, do them for educational purposes. As far as feedback goes, for this guy who's doing the interviewing, I've watched some of these before. This guy knows what he is doing. Solid dude. But as far as reacting it, like, the people he's talking about do a really good job as well, but that's just not my personality. But it's like, my passion is from interviewing. I could sit here and do these all day long, and it's like, it's for educational purposes. So if you go back and watch my other podcast interview breakdowns, it's mainly like educational feedback for fellow podcasters. But as far as like me react, like these are my opportunities as well to, maybe Ronnie sees this and maybe I highly doubt he remembers who I am, but of the off chance he does, it puts me in a position to get to interview him, whether it's, you know, I just started on TikTok with a small segment called 10 minutes of your time. And I would literally just hop on a Zoom call, boom, knock these interviews out and post it. But I love, like, people love reacting to stuff. I could seriously, like, I'm trying to almost build a community of people who are also interested in interviews as well. Cause like on Friday nights, I could sit here and watch it, depending on who's on it, and do this type of content, or just watch interviews. And I'm like, there's no way I'm the only one who does this. So yeah.
And you learn about.
Would more effective writing give you an edge at work? Grammarly can make your job one click simpler.
It reminds me as a journalist of more sort of classical criticism, where you start to learn more about the person who's reporting on all this different stuff, and you kind of get to know their personality and their likes and dislikes.
Yeah.
And then you can gauge how they're reacting to something versus how you might feel about it. And yeah, that's like how it should be.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how
Nobody
the
wants
conversation
to,
should be.
Anybody that enjoys watching somebody get bashed is not like somebody I want to hang out with. You know what I mean? It's not, there's already the news, there's already like a million angry people at Pepsi for an upside down cross or something. I don't know, like the flavor of the week kind of thing. You know, like we need positivity, you know, in that sense, especially in music. You know, I feel like everybody's competing, and there's not many friends anymore in music. It feels like everybody's just out for themselves, and it seems that way.
It being this interview's, let's just call it a year old, are bands still acting like that? Is everybody kind of clicked off a little bit, or is everybody come together and trying to work as one? And if that's not happening, what would have to be done for everybody to come together and work together, almost like maybe even against the label, if that makes sense?
Cinematic thing. I mean, you've always painted vivid pictures in your songs. Like I think of you as a storyteller, relating these incidents from your life or these snapshots or the way that you're feeling in a certain time or whatever. And I think that's what people relate to a lot. And, you know, image has been part of it, and you've always been interested in fashion and stuff like that. But I'm really digging these last few years how you've really put an emphasis on the cinematic side, and this like series of videos that go from cyberpunk to goth to, you know, all these different areas visually.
It's unacceptable to not give 110% and put money into something instead of like, I would rather put money into a music video than into a car. I'll tell you that right now. I would trade my car for an amazing music video. I think that's the most important thing, because that lasts the longest, you know. So it's got to be like that for me.
And he hit the nail on the head when it comes to him being a visual storyteller, and me being obsessed with the process as far as like the music goes from start to finish. Is it the same process when it comes to music videos? Like, what do you see in your head? Like, where do you get inspiration from? Is it like, are you just sitting there? Like, where is your zone of genius come from? Like, for instance, mine, if I'm like on a walk or in the shower or something, or listening to a podcast, like it's just like the floodgates just open up in my head, and it's like, these are where I get my ideas. Is it the same for you? And what is your process behind that? How much do these music videos cost? And it's like, okay, let's just say, I mean, he compared it to a car. So on the low end, I'm guessing it's like $100K for these music videos. Like, I know video guys who are solid that would do it for half that. So it's the cheapest you would do. Like, how do you pick somebody to do that? Do you see somebody's work online and you're like, oh, they do this really well, so let's do this and let's do that? How do you find the right person to work with? I know that was a lot of questions. I'm just saying these are questions that I would ask that come up in my head.
Yeah, without jumping 10 steps ahead, through the process of conceptualizing these videos and coming up with these storylines and everything, is this giving you the itch to want to do more long form visual storytelling?
I think people have ADD right now. So I feel like the shorter you can go, the better, just for people to so
not so much a movie or a TV series yet, but
maybe
music videos.
Maybe. Oh, you mean like an actual movie?
Yeah.
Maybe.
It almost seems like you could string together some of what you already have.
I was going to say, the look he just gave, it's like, it's one of those, like, maybe what's going on in it says, like, how do you know that? And yeah, how do I know that? And like, what? Because that's the thing. If I would have seen it, be like, so what are you working on? Can you say anything? And if you cannot say anything, blink twice. You know.
Yeah.
There's a story there.
Yeah. I don't want to say too much, and then some other band steals my idea like they always do. So
yeah,
maybe I shouldn't say it like that. But
and this, once again, this interview's over a year old. I wonder if whatever he was talking about has come out. So if Ronnie, if you're watching, what you were just referencing, you didn't want another band to take your idea. What was the idea you were talking about in this exact moment?
It's happened.
There's definitely been, you're one of those artists where you get to see those fun moments of a negative reaction that turns into a positive,
Yeah.
that turns into imitation. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, but that person was criticizing what Ronnie was doing 2 years ago.
And I've done it. I get so inspired, and then it turns into me. I imitated, like I loved Guns N' Roses' 80s hair metal, and I ended up with a Joan Jett haircut. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm not the first to do it, and they weren't the first. The New York Dolls were the first, or one of the first.
Sure. You can always go back and back.
Even
and
back
yeah.
and back and back. So, for me to even get upset that somebody's imitating me is just me getting. I should be upset at myself because I've done it too. So,
someone said once, Coldplay is Radiohead meets U2, or it's like you can break down these mathematical equations, but there's something about the way things are combined that they haven't been combined in that way before.
Yeah.
And then who you are as a person, as an artist,
personality comes out.
out. So
and I'm aware that my voice is distinct, and I'm very grateful for that.
So with this revamp, I mean, it's got to be fun as an artist. I always think to get a second bite at the apple, when directors go back and do like the director's cut of their film, and you're able to kind of revisit what you were trying to say and spin it in a new way, or maybe complete a thought that wasn't quite finished the way you wanted. What's the appeal for you, taking these old songs and stripping them down and rebuilding?
Just to show how much better I got. I mean, it's fucking insane. You know what I mean?
Normally these questions are for Ronnie or whatever, but and this guy who's doing the interviewing, I mean, just the thought process and the questions are just so clean, and like the way he's like ebbing and flowing like through the interviews is just so good. If you watch these, like, my brain doesn't work like that. If I had to like write a question, like I could write good questions, but I have to do things off the cuff or I stutter and spill all over myself. Like you watch enough of these, you see me looking around and like trying to find my thought process because I've got that awesome mix of ADHD and dyslexic. So for me to just ask these like clear cut, just the way he's asking these questions, my brain just doesn't work like that. Like I have to have the flow in my head in like the structure on where I want to go and ebb and flow with the interview. I can't just have like 10 questions and then figure out which ways to plug them in and just ebb and flow it. But just the way, if you pay attention to his wording, like the dude does not stumble once. Like he's very good.
I straight up, I'm not even talking shit. It obviously, if you haven't heard it, when you hear it, you'll understand. If you go back and listen to the old one, you hear the new one, you'll be like, yeah, he's gotten a little better, It just overall, the composition of it, it's like Phantom of the Opera, and it's
bigger, it's broader, it's more
Yeah.
thematic and sort of.
Yeah, it's just looking back to how much control I had on my vocals then to now it's just very pleasing for me, like because I work so hard at it. Yeah.
How do you get control of your vocals? And for people who aren't singers, like what does that mean exactly?
So
yeah, and I know that's always been important to you, and I think that's been a distinguishing thing.
Yeah, it's super important to be good live, and it's you know what the best thing ever is? I'm gonna look right at the camera. Is when Losing My Life is a good example. We have a live version, and the comments when they're like, "This is fake." And I'm like, thank you so much, yes, man, because this shit's real, man. That is my voice. That is me, dude. That is crazy. And I see a lot of them. They're like, there's no fucking way this, and it's just, it just makes me so happy. That means I'm doing my job. You know what I mean? So
that video he's referencing, one of my favorite songs, and that video is awesome. And if you've noticed, he's kind of like super jacked in that. in that video. So I would be like, listen, man, like, I don't know where your head's at now. Or like, as I remember watching a couple videos where you talked a lot about fitness and like intermittent fasting and calorie deficits and stuff like that while you're on tour. It's like, do you have any desire to get that yoked again?
So walking into your house today, one of the first things I saw was and I think you might have posted this.
Gotham City outside.
Well, I mean, once I got inside, but yes, Wayne Manor from the outside was pretty great. But the Freddie Mercury that you have up,
Yeah.
and that was one of the things that I was struck by with this revamp is like the sort of rock opera, like big vocal and the dynamics. And that's one thing that I personally, as a fan, appreciate about your voice.
Yeah, that picture my dad gave to me because all the comments on The Drug of Me is Reimagined are that I'm Freddie Mercury. So, and it made him like very happy. So he sent that to me for my birthday. I took a picture of it, posted on Instagram, and so many people were mad because my dad appreciated that people said that I reminded them of Freddie Mercury.
How?
I was like, you guys were mad at my dad. It was cool though. It's cool to even be compared on any platform to Freddie Mercury. He's literally iconic, man.
That's the ambition that you have, is to do things that are to that scale. Because when I think about Queen, I think it's not to say you're trying to be Freddie Mercury or anything.
Yeah,
I'm just
no
saying
way.
like, but that ambition and that idea of like, we'll do a rock opera, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do a song with David Bowie. Well, you know.
Yeah, it's natural. It's a natural thing for me. It's like, well, you're supposed to do another follow-up to Popular Monster, man. Why didn't you do that? It's like, because it's not natural to me. It's not natural. Okay, I'll do another rap song with metal breakdown in it. Okay, maybe next time. Right now, I want to do this Phantom of the Opera and showcase what my vocals can do. Christopher Nolan.
It's interesting he says that, because in the online business world, I hear my mentors talk about this too, is not to bend to your audience. Like, you do what you love, but you don't let them dictate what you are feeling at that moment. And I followed an artist here in Atlanta since I was like in 7th grade. His name is Butch Walker, and he talks about this as too, because he's all about the melody, and he produces for like Fall Out Boy, Pink, Weezer, bands like that. And he talks about for his own stuff that like he can do the poppy, the pop rock, whatever, alternative rock, whatever, with the really catchy hooks. He can do that all day, but then he talks about it's like, I didn't want to do that anymore. Like, I wanted something different, and his albums were just so much different. And it's kind of like what's going on here. And it's like, how do you not listen to don't allow people to basically dictate what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing? Because I remember even myself, honestly, like, I guess it's maybe as a fan, hearing Popular Monster just being such a banger and then shifting to something so slow, like downshifting like that, I just wasn't ready. And it was like, it was good, but it took a while. And the same thing happened for Zombified. I didn't like Zombified at first. I was like, no way, I'm sticking with Popular Monster. That's my jam. But then after like 3 months, Zombified became the new pop. Like, it's just a weird ebb and flow when it comes to those songs.
His movies, they make me feel a certain way. That's probably why he's so successful, because I'm not the only one. You know, just the way that the chords move when a certain scene is cinematography is happening, and it makes me feel a certain way. That's what I go off of. And I'm so glad that I never learned music theory, because I feel like you lose that creative element in a sense. You might be like amazing at like knowing the laws of music, but for me, too much music theory dampens your creativity. And because I go off of all feeling,
Do you believe that to be true for all aspects of creatives? Like, obviously for you in music, for myself, storytelling and learning how to ask questions, proper questions, communication, for artists as like painters, like, would you recommend, since you are self-taught, to stay away, especially this day and age, to stay away from any type of like music theory, no matter what genre of creativity you're in?
I learned the piano off of feeling, guitar off of feeling, any type of drums, anything. Writing music was just feeling how I felt, so I don't ever want that to ever go away, because if I feel this way, then at least one or two other people, when they hear, are going to feel like that.
I feel like the art that you've been making the last few years is much more proactive, is much more you're kind of in your own center, and you're like, what do I want to do, as opposed to what's coming at me that I want to respond to.
I used to just react so quickly, and that's how you gain enemies, is because you react before you too quickly, and I felt like I had to be the best at everything and compete at everything, in a sense of like music and selling tickets and this and that. And a lot of other people do that, but it ain't about that, man. It's about this. It's how good your songs are. That's what it's about. Because your songs will stand up. You could be the most attractive dude in the world with a okay voice. You're only going to be successful for so long if you don't have good songs, man. It's so important to have good songs that last longer than you live. Look at Queen. We just said Metallica, man. That's what I want to do. And I think that I've started doing that.
Music that means something to people.
Yeah,
in their own life.
That's way more important than how I'm dressed.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just nowadays, like, you see a lot of people. I mean, not even nowadays. Like, always, it's been this way. But a lot of people just kind of just phone it in. Like, they got a mediocre song, but they look cool. You know what I mean? And I would just rather focus on the songwriting and
And I wouldn't want it to get him in any trouble of like calling somebody out of like having a mediocre song and like being attractive or whatever when you were singing it. But it's like, I would ask him off camera, can you give me an example of what you mean? Like almost like a breakdown of this band singing this. And it's like, well, he looks good doing it, but the song kind of sucks. And it's like, do you feel like also, I would just want to know what that process was so I could see examples. And it's like, do you have examples of yourself doing the same thing? Like, do you feel like you had moderate songs? And which were they? And are you comfortable saying that, or do you want to say it off camera? Either way, I'm not trying to put him in a weird position.
Meaning something to a lot of people.
Now, so even with artists, particularly in the rock world, who have great songs, who have a good stage show, who have a lot of things going for them, longevity is so difficult and seems so one in a million, and even for artists that are able to reinvent or have a comeback or whatever, there's so many.
By the way, speaking of longevity, shout out to Corey Taylor, Jacoby Shaddix, Breaking Benjamin, In This Moment, A Day to Remember. These bands are, I feel like there's so many bands I could name right now, but
it's so funny you named Jacoby from Papa Roach. Even though this is an old interview, I think it was a viral moment on TikTok. Him and Jacoby were backstage doing that tortilla challenge or whatever on TikTok where they slap each other. I want to know whose idea was it? Did you just come in the room and be like, hey man, there's this challenge. I think we should do it because we're on tour together, and to see whose idea it was and how many takes it did. Did you just do it that one time or was it a couple times? And on a completely separate note that I just thought, it's like, you guys brought another TikTok star on, I think it's Jairus Johnson, who does like these really cool remixes. did you find him on TikTok and reach out to him to bring him on tour? How does that process work? And since he does a lot of mashups, I don't know if it's on brand yet or not on brand, but it's like, would you do some form of collaboration with him? Because I know he does a lot of remixes. He did one with Papa Roach that was awesome, and he did one with Nickelback, which was super sick. So I would be curious to know that as well.
If they're keeping it together, man, it's like keeping it together, and it's so important for these kind of bands, because it inspires younger bands to continue to have that longevity, man.
Yeah.
I always worried. I was like, I'm just going to be washed up one day, because, that's what happens, man. You get washed up. But it's been so long. And I'm like, what the fuck, bro? You guys, this is my biggest, I'm bigger than I was before. What the hell, man? Like, and I guess this is what you call longevity.
But
you talk about longevity, and you're doing a great job by yourself reinventing I wouldn't even call it you're reinventing yourself, but just the way your stuff comes out. I don't know. It's just like some of those bands like Newfound Glory and Blink-182, like, I don't know what happened, but there was only so much they could do. And I mean that in the most respect out of all, like, with all due respect, but it's like, somehow Ronnie has just bypassed that completely. Like, everything I feel like is new all the time. And it's like, do you feel like you've mastered that, your longevity? And would you ever be almost like a longevity, consultant to other bands to kind of show them what to do? Or do you just kind of do whatever you want to do? And if they want to, borrow sample from what you're doing, I don't know. But yeah, would you ever be a band longevity consultant?
In your case, you've had multiple moments in your career where people in the industry and the press, certain segments of fandom, have written you off. Like, well, this is it. Like, okay, he got up to here, but that's it. And all the way back to getting kicked out of Escape the Fate. It was like, well, that guy's over.
Yeah.
They're moving on. They're going to a major label and whatever. He's going to jail. And then the first Falling Universe album is a big thing. And it's like, okay, well, that was his like one, I'm out of jail. It's like there's every step of the way, it's like, well, that's it.
Yeah.
And
it's
you
wild.
Keep the resilience
It's crazy.
and the reemergence each and every time.
Yeah.
What is that? Like, how?
Songwriting. Because looks fade. Songs are forever. Songwriting is so important.
What do you do to keep your songwriting so sharp? How do you keep that skill super sharp? And what would you recommend to other artists such as yourself and other bands to get better at songwriting? Is it just getting in the reps? Is there some special sauce?
You got to make songs that are good. But even if certain people don't like them, that's what I learned too. They're like, that song sucks. He's like, but why is it so big, man? It's just you don't like it. You know what I mean? You're not the only person on earth, Is there a song that everybody loves that you cannot stand and borderline hate? I don't have any guilty pleasures. I like Adele. I like Marshall Mathers. I like Slim Shady. I like G Unit, like in their prime G Unit. I like Avril Lavigne's songwriting, Max Martin. The melody top lines. I'm just going off every spectrum, part of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And none of it's a guilty pleasure.
Well, yeah, without having to overly explain.
I mean, if I'm at a stoplight bumping Avril Lavigne, hey, you, I don't like a girlfriend. And somebody rolls up, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna turn it down a little bit,
It's
I'm not
more
gonna blast that out the window.
It's more time, place, and circumstance.
Right.
Of like,
That's
where
not
are
a guilty
you?
pleasure though, because I'm literally telling you I like it. So
Would you ever do that as like something, because he's big on TikTok, so I'd be like, would you ever do that now, just driving around LA, bumping some like One Direction, some Taylor Swift, just some like super poppy stuff, or wherever you would get recognized, maybe at the Grove on Sunset, somewhere like that? I think that'd be a funny TikTok like video.
Your art has gotten to a place where other people are eating off of just talking about your art.
I think it's cool.
Like that
yeah.
says something about like
Yeah.
the impact that it's having, that people
Yeah.
can make a whole video about it
Totally,
and
yeah.
it gets 1 million views.
Right.
You know?
People always try to compare. Like, this is what I always notice too. It's like you're washed up, or like I see it all the time. I see it with everyone too. They're like, for example, like Eminem, he's a good example. Marshall Mathers, Slim Shady, whatever. This motherfucker sells. This dude has like 46 million monthly listeners, and all over YouTube right now is people saying that nobody listens to him. It's like, bro,
Right.
he's like the biggest selling rapper right now. He's like 48 years old. He's still like fucking, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, if he's getting that, I can't take anything personal anymore. It's like, even he's like at the top of the world, man.
In previous interviews, Ronnie mentions that Eminem was part of his inspiration on the come up. I wonder, have you ever tried to reach out to him to do any type of collaboration? And if you haven't, maybe have you, let's just say you had a project in mind and maybe you put something together, not like a press kit, but like whatever you were thinking of musically, sent it to his people and be like, hey, what do you think about this? And to do a collab like that, would that be like a lifelong, like just goal? Have you tried? I mean, sometimes, and it's like on the opposite end of the spectrum, you know, you hear about like, you don't want to meet your heroes, or like, that's like a saying in Hollywood or something like that. Is it like that? But more importantly though, do you see a Falling in Reverse, Ronnie Radke and Eminem collab in the future?
And people are literally like, he's a has-been. And it's like, but he's literally outselling everyone. So it's just, there's no like, you know, I'm not up there. So when I see it, I don't take anything personally more when people are like, you only have 85 million streams on Popular Monster and it came out a year ago, dude. You're a piece of shit. That sucks. You know, you see that. You're like, what do you mean only 85 million? You know what I mean? That's a lot, man.
It's insane.
But people I feel like people compare music so much that, like, if you look in the comment section of like a music video, it's like, he looks like this person. This sounds like this person. This is this person. It's just, that's what humans do. We try to figure things out. And
we want to count and measure everything.
And if you can't figure it out, you either you strongly dislike that person because you can't figure them out, because you're scared. You know, you're scared of what you can't figure out, in a sense. Or B, I don't have a B actually. There's no plan B. Sorry.
And that's the thing about art, is it's subjective. You
Right.
don't have to like it.
Right.
You can love something, you can hate something.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of exerting so much energy into hating on something is just something I've never identified with. But, you know, those tend not to be people that are contributing. If you're busy contributing and making things and creating things, you don't really have time to be.
Yeah, people
hating.
that love you, I feel like most of the people that love you, they don't feel the need to go on Twitter and tell you. They just assume that you know that.
Right.
So the reason why you see people talking shit is because they feel the need. They think you don't know that they don't like you.
And that's when you see a video that has...
I hate you. Like, fuck
And you see a music
you.
video with 50 million views, X number of dislikes or whatever, it's always like such a small percentage.
That's what I never understood. This is what I never understood too, man. Go on YouTube right now. Search wind in the trees, right? So wind in the trees, it's just the sound of wind blowing in the trees. You know, it helps you sleep at night, right? And you'll see somebody watches that and then they fucking hit the dislike. You hit the dislike button on wind, bro. Fuck, man. That's so ridiculous. Don't you think that's ridiculous? You're disliking wind? You dislike, dude, I YouTubed cute babies, you know, like a montage just to see. And it's just a bunch of like kids being funny or whatever, and there's like fucking 2,000 dislikes. Imagine somebody being like, that kid's fucking ugly.
Yeah.
Fuck this video. You know what I mean? It's like, what? Like, it blows my mind.
And imagine
man.
that person is ignoring the rest of their life too, because they're like, hold on a second.
Yeah, it's like cute dogs. There's a good one. Yeah, it's like cute dog, funny dogs. It's like, I'm a cat person. Fuck you. You know what I mean? It's wild.
In this day and age, though, it would be interesting. I don't know I'm going to word this, but it seems to me like that. Let's just call it the 10% of people who are like that. We all know to just, any normal person knows to let that type of stuff just roll off your shoulder. Like he said, F you, whatever. But right now, and maybe I could be wrong, I feel like that 10% is somehow like controlling the narrative, or it's like, good God, if somebody sneezed in the wrong direction, I mean, they will cancel you like that. It's like, why are we giving people this power right now, and how do we get it back?
I put things in perspective that way. I'm like, well, if this is happening, then this is what, it makes a lot more sense that way.
People thought Ozzy Osbourne was washed up when he was fired from Black Sabbath.
Oh,
I mean, it's over. He's gone.
I never thought of it like that. Yeah. My bass player, his name's Tyler. He told me at my last video shoot. He goes, yeah, man. He goes, think about this. You went to prison for 2.5 years. Now you're sitting in the director's chair while all these people are filming you for a reimagined version of a song that went gold, that you wrote in prison.
In prison, yeah.
After getting kicked out of a very successful first band that you had. So you not only got one chance, but you got two chances. And 1% of the population only get one chance. And I was like, Jesus. Like he made me, I was like, damn, dude. It made me feel really good. It made me, his perspective really, it was great.
I feel like this is one of those moments. I have these moments with my friends too. Like, I'm completely biased to one of my friends, Jesse. And like sometimes like we just cut each other up all the time, just as guys do. But sometimes that dude will say some of the deepest shit I've ever heard. And I'm like, where did that come from, man? I wonder if when his bassist said that to him, if it was one of those moments, or is he just like an angelic individual who, always has stuff like that to say.
To hear that,
Yeah.
Never heard it like that before.
Yeah, and
I'll never forget it.
I'll give you the Ozzy Sabbath, and I'll give you the Sonny Moore and From First to Last.
Yeah, look at
that
him.
was enough of your generation. You remember?
Yeah.
Him being out of the band, and it was like the band was going on and doing their thing and whatever.
He exploded.
He became like Kurt Cobain of the whole scene, Yeah, and. So, and I think that those are very inspirational stories, your story.
Yeah.
For people, because we all have setbacks. We all lose that job or fall out with that person or break up with that significant other, whatever it is. And I think people identify with that about you as an artist, is seeing your story, like that you continue to.
Yeah, I'm kind of put my weapons down, man. I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to fight with people. I'm over it. I don't want to, I mean, I will if I have to. I mean, I fucking will, but I don't want to. I don't want to be that guy, that you love to hate, I guess.
And why do you feel, and I see this all the time because I follow the guy. I don't understand, and maybe he would have some perspective on it too, but it's like, why do you think people are so obsessed with your dark past and thinking that that you're just this terrible person because of it? Because if you go down the rabbit hole of who this guy is, he is a perfect example of like rising like a phoenix out of the ashes. So I don't, All right, that does it for this podcast interview breakdown. But before you go, if this is your first time on this channel, my goal is to help podcasters like yourself become the authority in their niche with podcast interviews. So if you have a podcast or you're thinking about starting one shortly, this free download is for you. It's a list of my top 25 podcast interview questions that I use to make me sound like a professional, and it gives me the ability to get those golden nugget sound bites so you can double your downloads and turn your listeners into leads. The link for this is in the description, and we'll see you next time.